Bittersweet Herbals. What it tastes is bitter, but the results are sweet. Bittersweetherbals.com. Bittersweet Herbals. What it tastes is bitter, but the results are sweet. Bittersweetherbals.com.
You know how we do. It's a blood clot vibes. Yes, family. Large of this stuff, yeah. But I twist up a little split, you know. But I twist up a little split, you know the hygienists do. I roll up a nice little nugget, you know. Create a gang, salute. Peace to the family. Wagwan. I see you charming in John. Where you say John? Johnny, where you say big man? Just me, where you say big man? Large up yourself. Eric Hamilton, where you say? King Judah, King Yehuda, where you say big man? Large up yourself, Aya. How you like? Big up Daryl Cosman in the building. Salute to the 4 horsemen, you know what I mean? Salute Daryl Cosman, Malachi Maccabee, Cosman Cal. Salute to the gang. Wise Flow, what up, sister? Sister and Wise Flow in the building. We gotta go. Matter of fact, Wise, I'm gonna write some scripts for you. About to get back to this filming. I was prepared for this debate, so I ain't been filming in the last week. Trying to get this debate prepared. So now that that's done, we back on set. You know what I mean? After this week blow over, we back going hard body with the filming. So stay tuned, stay by your phone. I'm gonna send that script. We're gonna get it in. Salute to the righteous gods and goddesses. You know what I mean? Boy, Selah Shalom chiming in. Nigga just woke up, actually. Woke up feeling marvelous. You feel me? Let me tell you something. I'm feeling marvelous if I would have won or lost. Win or lose. If I would have lost, I'll still be feeling like I'm feeling now. Marvelous. You know what I mean? We outside. Turn that rhythm up, you know. Right. Salute to everybody who participated in the debate last night. Salute to Sarnetta. Salute to Team Eliara. Salute to JJ. Salute Judah Nez. And salute to the I don't know that lady who was on there, the Moshe. I don't know her, but salute to her. Salute to all y'all, man. This should just a debate. Nobody should be goddamn getting out of character of no debate. Hold on. Yes, family. Let me roll up my spliffer ting too real quick fast, you know. Roll up my little spliffer ting. Yeah, I just want to come on here and build, man. Chop it up. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to drop some knowledge real quick. Information. We stay on top of the information. Stay building. Stay enlightening. You know what I'm saying? Let me let the music play so I read my run. Let me read my run for now, yeah? Y'all could watch me roll up a split. See it. One thing I was going to catch him on, you know, there was a lot of things that I had to trim down for the debate and take out because it was 20 minutes. But another topic would have been good to debate. I mean, not to touch on, speak on, was the calendar, the Hebrew calendar, and the timestamp. Because the Hebrew calendar, the Jews, they actually Moses Maimonides actually gave a timeline of creation. Two people that I know so far that I researched gave a timeline of creation, which is Moses Maimonides and Jerome. Jerome came up with a date like 5201 before Common Era. Moses Maimonides came up with the date 3751 BC. And that's the date that they use. Because when you look at the Hebrew calendar, let me show that real quick. Let me show the Hebrew calendar. But this is important too because the timeline got to be on point. You know what I mean? Let me see. And I just woke up, y'all, so I'm kind of dragging and slurring a little bit, but it's all good. You know what I mean? It's all good. You see that, right? Time of creation. Now, we didn't get a chance to bring this out, but this could come out later on down the line when I have a discussion with another brother, Israelite, who believe in a calendar. You know what I'm saying? We got several sources where the calendar is consistent with the date. Like in the purple, it says, the start point of the Hebrew chronology is the year 3761 BC, the date for the creation of the world as described in the Old Testament. So there we have one source saying that 3761 BC is the date of creation. Then we have another source right there. See that? This is the year 5784. Because who I asked that to yesterday, I think I asked the elder Yara that. I said, do you follow the calendar, the Jewish calendar of the year 5784? I think the nigga was like, nah. So I asked him what calendar they follow. And niggas don't know what they follow, but it's all good. I ain't here to bash nobody. I just here to validate to see if you follow this calendar, because if you admit to following this calendar, then I could be like, look, this shit is off. This shit is off. So this is the calendar, the Hebrew calendar, the Jewish calendar that gives us this date, right? So if you're a Hebrew Israelite, matter of fact, to be honest, I got to hold y'all accountable to that, because most Hebrew Israelites is an offshoot of the ISUPK, and the ISUPK is an offshoot of the Commandment Keepers, and that's an offshoot of the Matthew's, whatever the guy named Matthew, the brother Rabbi Matthew, and he got all his information from the white Jews. So if you accept the date of 5784, that means you accept the date that the white Jews gave you. Which ain't nothing wrong with that if that's what you're standing on. But when we put it in perspective to make it make sense, does it really make sense? Now look. When was the year one? According to Hebrew time reckoning, we are currently in the 6th millennium. The Hebrew year count starts in the year 3761 BC. See that? This is the established date that the Jews established for the creation story. The practice was implemented in the 12th century with the Jewish philosopher Maimonides. That's Moses Maimonides. That's the same guy who I used yesterday in the debate to show that these rabbis put their mark in history, established the timeline as the biblical date of the creation. Now let's see what's going on here. Let's click this link. That's the source for what I just read, right? Scroll down, let me see if I can, there you go right there. See that? When was year one? Right there. According to Hebrew time reckoning, we are currently in the 6th millennium. The Hebrew year count starts in the year 3761 BC. So there we have it. So that's one source, that's two source, that's three source, all validating that the Hebrew calendar starts in the year 3761 BCE. You dig? Excuse me while I light my spliff, yeah? Where we at with it? Now we got another source. Oh, damn, my bad, y'all. I done blacked the fuck out. I was... I'm over I'm over here. Excuse me. Lighting my spliff inside my head and forgot I was live and shit. What the fuck? A brief introduction to the Jewish calendar. Read the highlight. Look at it. The initial epoch for the new moon is 11:11 or 11:20 p.m. at the meridian of Jerusalem on Monday. Look what it say. October, the 7th of October, 3761 BC, on the Julian calendar, which begins the Jewish law. So the calendar was created in October. How do they know that? How are they going to say October when there was no October 3761 BC? How can you date something when you don't even have a moon cycle to even track time yet? You know what I mean? How can the creation be 3761 BC when we can't even track time properly? Those are 5 sources to show that the Jewish calendar starts the year 3761 BCE. Here's a chart, you know what I mean? From the first arc cycle to the 25th arc cycle up here. Down below is the years. And the creation of the Hebrew calendar started in the 23rd arc cycle after the creation of man, according to our calendar. Because according to the Owaspi, man was created roughly, I got on this chart 71553 BC, right? So at least Owaspi puts man's at least over 70,000 years old. So that cancellate all this right here. You know what I mean? So the Bible starts 3761. That'll fall in this time frame. So when God said, let there be light, it would have been taking place in the 23rd arc cycle. But look at the histories previous going forth. In the Owaspi, the time of the flood was 22553 BC. See that? The Bible doesn't even go back that far. The Bible doesn't even go back 6,000 years. But the Owaspi goes back roughly 70,000 years as far as human history. See what I'm saying? That's what these arc cycles is about, the measurement of time. You dig? So here's, remember, we already established the year is 3761 BC. First week of creation, spring month. So you got the first day of creation. Now in the Bible now, it says 24 hours. Don't get mad at me. I keep telling y'all, don't get mad at me for what the Bible say. See what I'm saying? The Bible say 24 hours is when God created the heavens and the earth. So if he created the heavens and the earth in 6 days on a 24-hour regimen, he created the heavens and the earth and all the things in the universe within 144,000 hours. Don't get mad at me. We exposing the falsehood of the gods. You know what I mean? You bring them, we raise them. You tear them down, we build them back up. You bring them false, we bring them back true. We take false gods and make them true gods. You feel me? So they go to calendar. First day, second day, you know what I mean? So look, that's the Hebrew word for day, which is yom. And it says daily, right? It says day, daily and day, a 24-hour period. See that? So according to the Bible, a day is a 24-hour period. So God created the heavens and the earth within 24-hour periods. Now, for those who make the claim of 1,000 years, the word elif would have been used instead of yom. So a lot of people want to interject their own personal interpretation and get emotional when you call them on it, because they'll run to, hold up. You see something, hold up. I'm gonna show you something. Doo-doo. Oh, I got some share my screen. Would you say, oh, salute to the ancient watchman in the building. Salute, God. Salute to the ancient watchman. That brother done came a long way from dealing with these carnal Hebrews, raising his vibration to the higher light. The 7th millennium would be the Jubilee. Interesting. All right, so like a leaf is 1,000 in Hebrew. So God would have said, in morning and the evening was the first 1,000 years. That would have made way more sense. I wouldn't even be making this argument. But it doesn't say elif, it says yom, which is a day. And let me see. Look what it says. 2 Peter 3:8. Behold, be not ignorant of this one thing, that a day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. Now, this is the verse a lot of people will run to try to justify that a day is 1,000 years. But look who's talking. Peter. Peter's talking, not God. We want to hear it out of God's mouth. Because if I'm Peter, I could just say that. I could sit here and say, yeah, man, the Lord's days is 1,000 years. That doesn't mean that I'm telling you that that's right and exact. That's just me expressing that. Look at Psalms 90, verse 4. For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it passed, and as a watch in the night. So, right? So who read Psalms? Psalms is what? David, right? Psalms is David. So that's David saying that. That's not God himself saying it. We need God himself saying that, and then we can finalize that a day is 1,000 years. Let me see. Acts 2, what does it say here? When they were that gladly received his word were baptized the same day. Okay, that's something else. So I think those are the only 2 verses really we talk about 1,000 years. Yeah. Yeah, right here. So Psalms and Peter right here. These 2 verses is where they talk about a day being 1,000 years. But then the crazy thing is, does Peter and David's word supersede God's word? So if I go to Genesis chapter 1, right? And then it states that here, God said, see that? God said. Now is God's word, now is David's word stronger than God's? It's Peter's word stronger than God's? God said. God called. See, this is God talking, right? What did God say? And God called the day and the darkness, and God called the day and the darkness God called the light day and the darkness he called night. And the evening and morning were the first day. This is God talking according to the text. So God is greater than Peter. God is greater than David. And according to God, he said that he created the evening and the morning and the first day. There go day, there go yom, and there go your 24-hour period. Don't be mad at me. See that? Now when we put in 1,000, let's put in 1,000 in the search engine. Let me just put in 1,000 right here. See what happens. Right? Here's an example of 1,000. And said unto Sarah, he said, behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. See that? So if a day is 1,000 years, it could have easily said a day is 8,000 years. But it don't. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot. But now let's go back to this 1,000 right here. Let's hit the Strong's Concordance for this 1,000. See, they go 1,000. And what you get Elif, what I showed earlier, right? And then what it say? 1,000. You know, I'm not adding no private interpretation. I'm not leaning on my own understanding. I'm just showing you that in the Bible creation story, God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days and not 1,000. So if he created the earth in 6 literal days, this is how it would look. This is how it would look in the histories. So I notice it's kind of scrunched up, but let me show you Adam. So look, come to the top, you see Adam, Seth, Enos, Canaan, Methelel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. So I got Adam to Noah on this chart. When you scroll down, I got the dates. 3761 BC, that's the date of creation. That's the day God created Adam and Eve in that year, right? So, time of creation is 3761 BC. How long did Adam live? Let's scroll back up. Look at Adam. Let's follow the line, right? And come down right here. And we see that Adam died in the year 2831 BC. So from 3761 BC to 2831 BC would have been the time that Adam lived on the earth. Now, and Adam lived 930 years. So if Adam lived on the earth starting from 3761 BC, Adam, sound crazy, Adam would have been walking around the earth during the Nakata period. Adam would have been walking the earth during, he would have seen Narmer. See, look, Narmer would have been alive while Adam was walking the earth based off this time chart. See that? How can Adam be walking the earth during the time of Narmer when Narmer is the progenitor and comes from Ham, according to the narrative? Narmer would be considered an African. The Africans come from Ham. Ham comes from Noah. Noah comes from Adam. But look, Noah is not even born yet. When Narmer comes on the scene in 3150 BC, Noah is not even born yet. Noah is born in the year, look when Noah is born. There go Noah. What that say? 2795 BC. That's when Noah was born. But Narmer was already ruling a couple hundred years before that. So how can a Hamite be uniting Upper and Lower Egypt before Noah was born? See, when you put this thing on the timeline, you see how it's off. So that whole the Adam story, Cain and Abel, Noah and the flood, all that is false. It's not even placed in the proper time period. See that? This is the works of Anu-Hassaj. He gave you the false account of Noah. He's the one who told you that Noah was a person with 3 children. The false god Anu-Hassaj gave you that. And then he gave you a false sense of time to place it in history. Now that we expose the history, you see that it can't stand. There is no merit in this. You see that? Look where Shem, Ham, and Japheth is born. Look at Shem, Ham, and Japheth down here. Scroll up. Now look at this. Look at this is the birth of Shem, Ham, and Japheth would have took place around here. 2295 BC, when you do the math. So that means Narmer should be coming in history after 2295 BC, not before it. How can a Hamite exist before his lineage? But this is the biblical timeline. From Adam to Noah, and all of that fits within the Old Kingdom. See that? Pre-dynastic Egypt, the Old Kingdom, and the Middle Kingdom compromises the time period from Adam to Noah. That's false. That can't stand. That can't, you know what I mean? That 5784 date for the creation can't stand when you apply it to real history. Now, this is applied when you use that God made the heavens and the earth in 6 days. When you use the 6-day method, this is what you get. This is what you get. Because God would have created the heavens and the earth in 1 week in the year 3761, and they told you that they created the heavens and the earth in October 7th. Where that at? That was crazy. October 7th. Let me put that back up. Where that shit at? See that right here? Look at that. October 7th, 3761 BC is when God said, "Let there be light." These niggas is using a Roman calendar to determine when God created the heavens and the earth. Ain't that something? But nonetheless. So that would have been in this year, 3761 BC would have been the year that took place. So there you have it. Look at Enoch. Enoch. See that? The year of the flood. Look at this. The year of the flood. The year of the flood would have been 2195 BC. That's the old kingdom of Egypt. God flooded the whole world during the old kingdom of Egypt. The time period is off. In the Owaspi, the time of the flood, in the Owaspi, look what it say the time of the flood is right here. 22553 BC. Roughly 25,000 years ago was the flood. See that? Owaspi put the time measurements way back. That makes that's more rational and reasonable. Okay, 25,000 years ago, that I can see that. But when you're trying to tell me that the flood of Noah was 2195 BC, I can't see that. Because that's during the time of pre-dynastic Egypt, and that's a time when humans was really documenting history, and there's no proof. Nowhere in the world during that time of a worldwide flood. Nowhere shows proof of that. For those who say that the heavens and the earth was created in 1,000 years, we could address that too. Hold on, family. Let me get some drink real quick. All tight. What the word is. What the word is. Hilltop in the building. Peace, man. So if a day is 1,000 years, here's the 1,000-year calendar. I showed you the 6-day calendar and placing a history within and show you how it was off. Now, this is even worse. If you believe in the Jewish calendar and you believe that a day is 1,000 years, it's even worse. The 6th day, what I just showed earlier, you better off with that than accepting the 6,000 year concept. The 6,000 year concept leaves you even in a worse situation. Let me show you how. 3761 BC is the year. So let's do the math. Look at that. The year 3761 BC, right? First day of creation, creation of light and darkness, 1,000 years. 3761 BC being the starting point. Once subtract 1,000 years from that, you come to 2761 BC. That's the first 1,000 years. That's when God said, "Let there be light." Separated the light from the darkness, called the light day, called the darkness night, and morning and evening were the first day. So that would have took place from 3761 BC to 2761 BC. Now, you know that's inconsistent because, again, during that time, Egypt was ruling, pre-dynastic, and the Old Kingdom was ruling during the time God's supposed to be creating light and darkness. Let's move to the 2nd day. The 2nd day is when God created heaven. The firmament is heaven. And that was 1,000 years, from 2761 BC to 1761 BC. So that means that includes the Old and the Middle Kingdom right there. So when God was creating heaven, the Egyptians was ruling in the Old and Middle Kingdom. See? The 3rd day, creation of dry land, grass, herbs, fruit trees. If that was 1,000 years, and that was the 3rd day, that would have been from 1761 BC to 761 BC. That compromised the Middle Kingdom and the New Kingdom, right? So when God created dry land, the Israelites were sojourning out of Egypt under Amenhotep IV, expelled by Amos I. All that took place within this time period when God was supposed to be creating dry land. See that? Time is off. If you're using 6,000 years, it gets worse. I'm telling you. You're better off believing in the 6-day creation using the 3761 BC than using 1,000 years as your starting point, as a day, and 3761 BC is a starting point. Now, let's go to the 4th day, when God created the sun, moon, and stars. So all this time, everything is in darkness until the 4th day when God created the sun. Now, some people will say that the sun was created on the 1st day when it said, "Let there be light." But then again, on the 4th day, he created the sun. So if you accept that, you got to show me 2 balls of fire in the sky. Because the sun on the 4th day, the sun, moon, and stars, we could see that. But if you're telling me that there was a sun or a light in the 1st day, you would have to identify that light because this is an objective creation. This is a physical creation. So on the 4th day, when God created the sun, moon, and stars, that's from the year 761 BC to 239 Common Era. So within that time frame, so when God is creating the heavens and the earth, within that 1,000 years, Israel is going into captivity. Israel returns to reestablish the New Jerusalem. 400 years later, Yeshua is on the scene. 70 years after that, Rome decimates Jerusalem, scatter the Jews, right? All that's taking place when God's supposed to be creating the sun, moon, and stars. So I said this is even worse. We get to the 5th day. The 5th day is from what? 239 Common Era to 1239 Common Era. That's when God created the animals, water animals and land animals. So so there was no animals on the planet until 239 Common Era. Yep. That's the 5th day using the math. So 239 to 1239 is when animals was being produced for 1,000 years on the planet. And then the 6th day, the most important day, the creation of man. The creation of man took place 1239 Common Era to 2239 Common Era. So at this point is when man was created. Man was created in 1239 AD. Let's see what was going on in 1239 AD historically. What was happening in the year 1239? After the 10-year peace had expired in 1239, the Muslims easily took back defenseless Jerusalem. The crusade of 239 to 241 under Dabiet IV campaigned, and Richard Cornwell brought about the return of the city as well as other territories through negotiations. So this is what's going on the earth. Muslims is over there taking back Jerusalem. That's what's going on when man is supposed to be being created on the sixth day. Yeah. And what y'all say? Didn't you say Zion Lex follow this? Zion Lex follow the Hebrew Jewish calendar? Yeah, he followed that Orthodox rabbi tradition. So if he followed that 5784, he got to contend with this. And he can't contend with this. Can't nobody contend with this. What y'all should have did is use y'all minds that the Creator gave y'all and did what I did. Put this shit to the test. If 3761 BC is the date and the day is 1,000 years, nigga, chart it out. Create an illustration to see how it looks objectively. And then it's like, damn, nigga, this shit don't even make sense. What am I following? You're following a false sense of time. How can you prophesize and how can you talk about prophecy when the time is off? The time is off. If the time is off, the prophecy is off. That's why y'all going to be waiting around forever for prophecy to take place when it ain't going to take place. What's taking place is natural. It's a natural occurrence of history. Times in history where mortals live in peace. Times in history where mortals go to war. And the Awaspi is called the rise and fall of nations, and it happens every arc cycle. It happens every arc cycle. Here's an example of the rise and fall of nations. I got to get back to this chart I was working on. Do I got it on here? Let me see. I don't even think I put up here yet. Nah, I didn't even up here yet. But I can show you an example of the chart. Let me see. Hold up. Of the rise and fall of nations. All tight. Everybody, all tight. Here we go. Did I put the years in there? Oh. All tight. No, let me let the rhythm run while I look for what I look for. Let the vibes go on still, you know. No, let the rhythm run while I look for what I look for. Go ahead on with the dates on there. The blood clot vibes. Damn, I wasn't even finished with it, but shit, I'll just show what I got. But this is the behavior of an arc cycle. I'm not finished with it. I gotta put the years at the bottom. Every 3,000 years, this is the behavior of an arc cycle, right? Let me get that in the OWASP. Hold up. Where we at with the book of Cosmogony and Prophecy. Man, let me see what chapter that is. Hold on. Let me pull up the chapter and verse for that real quick. Let me find it. All right, chapter 7. Let me go to chapter 7. Go to the chapter 7 in the book of Cosmogony and Prophecy. Watch this. Watch this. My screen? Am I sharing my screen? Oh, yeah. Make sure. Hold on, what the hell with the book there? Book of Cosmogony and Prophecy. Where you at on here? Oh. All right, here we go. Let me see. Chapter 7. Should I go chapter 7? Hold tight. Everybody, hold tight. Where was that with it? Hold on. Let's see. Here we go. Let's do the math. Cosmogony and Prophecy. See what I'm saying? If you want to weigh the science of OWASP against the science of Bible, nigga, there's no match. Now, every 3,000 years, right? This is the arc cycle of 3,000 years. What does this say? Behavior of an arc cycle within 3,000 years. So at the beginning of an arc cycle, it's always classified like a new age, something new, a new movement, right? That's the beginning of the arc cycle. And it's an increase, it's a vibe, it's an ascension, right? And then that age brings a time of peace. And then from there, you go into a time of war and destruction. And then you go into a time of 1,000 years of darkness, the dark ages. And then out of the dark ages come the Renaissance, a Renaissance age. And then the cycle starts over again with the new age. This is the behavior and the rise and fall of nations within a period of 3,000 years. And this is what the OWASP explains. Check this, right? I'll start from here. No, I'll start making it make sense. You know what? Let me just read from here. Chapter 1. Having shown the impossibility of the philosophies based on corporeal knowledge to demonstrate truth in regard to unseen things and in regard to planets distant from the earth, it has now become the part of these revelations to put the student in a position to learn from the unseen forces which govern all corporeal things, man included, as a general and important part. When a heavy stone falls on a man and holds him down, it is sufficient to say the stone rules over him, rules over the man. If an epidemic come upon a city because of uncleanness, it is well to consider that cause also. Nevertheless, if an epidemic is periodical to a certain city, even when the city is not unclean, it is wise to look for an unseen cause. The same rules apply in the comparing one locality with another, right? In certain regions of the earth, certain diseases are common. At certain times of the earth, in cycles of 3,000 years, certain diseases were common. In certain places of the earth, man has at times, thousands of years ago, attained to great knowledge and virtue, but his whole country in later centuries become a wilderness, the rise and fall of nations, right? It is not the place of the prophet to account for these things by accusing ignorance or war. The prophet must account for that tendency in man to fall into ignorance and into war. In other words, he must find the cause of causes. In the Owaski, it shows you how to be aware of prophecy. Over here, prophecy is not a guessing game. It's not looking back in history and guessing what's going to happen today. The Owaski shows that prophecy is not guesswork, but absolute rules govern all things. And these cycles and these rules of these cycles is how you can identify where you at. At certain periods of time for hundreds of years, nations have dwelt in peace and have risen in virtue, then turn to war among themselves and go down in death. See that's a cycle. You rise in peace, prosperity, and then you fall and you go into war in the same country that was peaceful a couple hundred years ago. Now check it. The prophets of old divided time into cycles of 3,000 years with slight variations. And they found that at the beginning of these periods of time, a certain impulse came upon the people, causing them to try to be better and wiser, even as the same feeling is manifesting itself this day in many nations. So right there being said, that's referring to the New Age right here. So 1848 is the New Age. That's when the Ark of Cosmos took place, right? And then look what it states. The scale then rises for 400 years, more or less. And after which, meaning after that, wars and epidemics come upon the people. Then they begin to decline, especially in virtue and peace. But the general intelligence suffers little for about another 600 or 700 years. After that, they destroy their libraries and records and reduce themselves to ignorance and vice. Then what? Then what? Look what it states. Then a darkness follows of 1,000 years or more. So when you look at the chart, they go to time of darkness. Now man is on a decline for 1,000 years because he destroyed the libraries. He destroyed the ability to be intelligent. So a couple generations after that, you're raising children that has no knowledge of language, how to write, how to read, don't know the alphabet. You see what I'm saying? So 1,000 years of darkness, man becomes barbaric in nature, right? So what it says. Then a darkness follows of 1,000 years or more years with slight intermissions. And after that, for 600 years, the corporeal senses, intellect, begin to ascend. self-conceit, meaning the Renaissance, self-conceit comes upon them. They think they are at the beginning of wisdom on earth. Then comes another cycle of light. Angels descend from the unseen worlds. New revelations crop up in every quarter. That's where we at now. Inspirations come upon mortals. And they go to the opposite extreme, becoming superstitious and obedience to unseen influence. See that? And look what it states in verse 8. Such then is the general character and behavior of man during a cycle, which is 3,000 years, Adonai. And he rises and falls in all these particulars as regularly as the tides of the ocean. So what they're saying is that this flow right here, this one example of an arc cycle within 3,000 years, and the behavior within that 3,000 years is regular throughout history. Now keep in mind, this is the behavior of a 3,000 year period. So you got the New Age, that reigned for about a good 200, peace, prosperity for about 400, time of war, then there's 700, and 1,000 years of darkness, then the Renaissance age for about 600 years. So it's showing you the rise and fall of humans or nations within the time period of 3,000 years. And keep in mind, we're in a 25th arc cycle. So that rise and fall then happened 25 times or 24 times, 24 complete times. So now back to this false calendar. Man was created on the 6th day, which would have been 1239 Common Era. Right? That's when man was created, according to the 6,000th year, using the 6,000th year with the starting point of 3761 BC. Y'all niggas know that's false. Y'all know it's false, family. Yeah, I ain't finished with this though. I just wanted to show y'all that. Got some stuff to still play with on there. Yeah, fam, I'm just vibing out. You know what I'm saying? What's the vibe, fam? What we talking about? What we talking about here? What we talking about here? What we talking about here? Osmosis, what's good, family? Shout out David Cosmo, I see you, bro. Salute to the righteous God. It's a blood clot bags. What we talking about here, family? Look at that, yo. There he is. There he is. There go Yahweh, the wheelchair God, floating through space creating. That's their God right there. That's their God right there. Remember what Tazariak said. Remember. In the beginning, God. So that God is not the Most High, is what you're saying?
No.
Well, that's not the one I'm looking for. Hold up. The one when he said he sit on the throne. Where that one at? Hold up. Watch this. God sit on the throne.
God sits on his throne and give orders. That
So
Christ,
hold up. You said the Most High sits on the throne? The Creator sits on the throne. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I said.
There he is. He said the Most High sits on the throne. There he is. That's Yahweh. That's Yahweh right there. That's their God floating through space, creating. Floating through the middle of nowhere, zapping worlds into existence. That's their God sitting on the throne. That's Yahweh. You don't think You think I'm joking? Watch this. You think that ain't Yahweh? You think that ain't Yahweh? Yeah, that's the sky god. That's the sky god right there. That's a sky daddy right there. Let's get him saying it one more time.
Sits on his throne and give orders.
So hold up. You said the Most High sits on the throne. The Creator sits on the throne. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I said.
Bam, there he is. There he is. There go the Most High sitting on his throne, his wheelchair, floating through space. Now keep in mind, they follow a deity. Keep in mind that God is an angel. That God is a man of war. So this wheelchair God, who ain't got no feet, floating through space, is the same one created the heavens and the earth in 6 days or 6,000 years. And I showed you what the time period is like when you put it in there. Niggas lost, bro. They off. They off on that. Then you got Yahweh. Look what it say. Yahweh. And when you come here, what does this say? A 4th century BCE silver coin from the Persian province of Yehudi Medinata, possibly representing Yahweh, enthroned on a winged wheel. This identification is disputed, however. Right? So there go Yahweh. Some people dispute it, no doubt, but nonetheless. And then they got the name right there. That's the paleo, the paleo Hebrew. The paleo. They go, yeah, that's like a face right there. Isn't that like a face right there? Not like the eyes, not like the nose, the mouth, and a bed. Let me find out Yahweh stepping on you niggas. No. That's Yahweh though. Yahweh, and you got El. Now keep in mind, Yahweh claimed to be El. Isaiah 43:12. Saith the Lord that I am God. That's God. But then that's Yahweh. So Yahweh looks like a Greek god over here. But then over here, he's a Canaanite deity. That's crazy. Let's go back to the wheelchair god. I need to put some music under this. I got to put some music under this right here for the wheelchair god.
As Jesus Christ was reincarnated on this earth 5 times. First as Adam.
This is the stuff that they teaching in them schools. And look at them, look at all them people in there looking and listening. Them niggas is probably like, man, what this nigga talking about? But they can't say nothing because they got to stay in line. They can't open their mouth. But I'm sure when they heard that, niggas like, Adam created 5 times. Where that's in the scripture?
Who we know as Jesus Christ was reincarnated on this earth 5 times. First as Adam.
And another thing, Winworth Matthews admitted that he learned the Jewish ways from the European Jews. The European Jews have a long line of history upholding and authorizing Torah throughout the years, throughout the centuries. So at best, Matthews, which came the Commandment Keepers, and then from the Commandment Keepers, you had this group, ISUPK. So this group is a chain reaction off of Matthews wanting to be part of the European Jewish establishment. because there is no evidence historically where you have black people upholding Hebraic tradition, right? Now some people say, "Oh no, that ain't true, Selah. You got the Beta Israel. You got the Beta Israel in Ethiopia. The Beta Israel in Ethiopia come up under the belief system that Frumentius brought in the 3rd century, 4th century Common Era. So that shit been thriving in Ethiopia, right? But it falls under the same thing. It comes out of Rome still. So these dudes just said, these dudes ain't got no independent proof of showing black folks showing a lineage of carrying out Tanakh. Look at this. All these Europeans. Look. Joseph ben Ephraim, the author of the last great codification of Jewish law. Last great codification. You know what I mean? Niggas ain't doing no codifications to Jewish law. Everything that these cats do, dealing with what they call the Hebrew Israelite, is rooted in the Europeans. Look, he created the first Hebrew printing press. Let me see if I get some more information on that. That shit had me tripping. The first Hebrew printing press. I didn't even know that. Abraham ben Yamin is credited with establishing the first Hebrew printing press and cutting Hebrew type in 1473. He printed the first Hebrew book. Oh, nigga. And I didn't even use this for the debate. If I was to dig in the chest of this, nigga, it'll be a wrap. The first to establish a Hebrew printing press and to cut Hebrew type, according to Ginsburg, was Abraham ben Hayim. In 1473, he printed the first Hebrew book in 1474. Look at that. The first Hebrew book. And there appeared, in 1477, there appeared the first printed part of the Bible in an edition of 300 copies. Wow. Damn, this is wild. It is not really an edition of a biblical book, but a reprint of David's Kimmy commentary on Psalms. See that? These niggas doing commentaries on the text. That's his works. I bet you that ain't no Bantu Negro from the Congo, to which the biblical text of each verse is added. The text being in square, the commentary in rabbinical characters. Each was divided off by Sof Pasuk, the first 4 Psalms, with the vowel points. So this is the Assyrian script, the Assyrian Amoraic script. This is interesting. So you niggas ain't got nothing to do with printing the first Hebrew Bible. Printing press. So this you got 2 cats. That's 2 cats dealing with the printing press. Damn. That's cold right there. That's cold. So let me scroll back up. Let me go back. And another thing that was interesting when I was doing the research for this authorship of the Torah, not even the Torah, the Tanakh. was that yeah, where that's at? Oh yeah, that's right. Right here. I found this interesting too, the Sumerian Pentateuch. I found this real interesting. Right? Because there's a difference between the Sumerians and the Jews. Now, this would be the Samaritans would be considered the northern tribe. You remember when they came back to rebuild the second temple? When the Jews came back and the Samaritans asked if they could help? See if I can find that verse. Tight. Yeah, boy, I'm still trying to wake up about this joint. This is why these boys don't know. We got stuff on standby already documented that we done put together. Persian influence of the Second Temple, Jerusalem. Now let me find what I was looking for as far as the Samaritans. Right, watch this. Samaritans. Then I'm gonna have to go back through this doc. This should hit something. Look. This is, first exile of return, Samaria resettles. S. Arthadon, right? 6th, 7th century BC, right? That's the ruler. Look what it says in 2 Kings 17:24. The king of Assyria brought people from Babylon, Ketura, Ava, Hamath, Savarvim, and settled them in the towns of Samaria to replace the Israelites. Look at that. So you have Babylonians that migrated into Samaria to replace the Israelites. They took over Samaria and lived in its town. And that's the place where the northern tribes was. When they first lived there, they did not worship the Lord. So he sent lions among them. Oh, nigga, we could have used this for the debate. We could have used this for a rebuttal. Look at this. When they first lived there, they did not worship the Lord. So he sent lions among them, and they killed some of the people. Really? The Lord is sending lions to eat you niggas. What's really going on here? You know what I mean? Why didn't the Lord do that to Slave Master? When Slave Master was lynching niggas, why didn't he put the spirit of the bear of the spirit of the bear to come eat Slave Master? They was mistreating God's chosen people, so the Lord should have put some the spirit in the bear to go tear some shit up. Look what it states here. It was reported to the king of Assyria, the people you deported and resettled in the town of Samaria do not know what the God of that country requires. See that? This is a local God. He's a country God. This is supposed to be the God of Israel too, right? But he's a country God, a tribal God. He has sent lions among them which are killing them off because the people do not know what he requires. Look at that. This is a demon. This is the demon God. They don't know what the demon requires, so the demon, the Lord demon, Lord demon then send out ravish lions to kill a people, some migrants who moved there. That's like the Lord sending lions to kill Mexicans for moving in and migrating across the borders. See that? He has sent lions among them, which are killing them off because the people don't know what he requires, what the demon God requires. Then the king of Assyria gave this order: have one of the priests you took captive from Samaria go back to live there and teach the people what the God of the land requires. Interesting. So one of the priests who had been exiled from Samaria, this would be one of the northern tribes, Israelite, came to live in Bethel, the house of El, and taught them how to worship the Lord. So your demonic God was sending lions to kill off Babylonians because the Lord didn't know, because they didn't know what the Lord required. Nevertheless, each national group made its own gods in several towns, where they settled and set them up in the shrines the people of Samaria had made at the high place. Now look, the people from Babylon made Sokoth, Benoth. Those from Kathah made Nargo, and those from Hamath made Ashma. Verse 31, the Evites made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sepharvites burnt their children in the fire as a sacrifice to Ardamelech and the Anamelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. Look at that though, right here. It says the Sepharvites burnt their children in the fire as a sacrifice. Good Lord. Is that what God required? That's child sacrifice. Wait a minute. You remember they came in, these particular Babylonians came in the land, started getting killed off by lions. They wanted to know what was the requirements. And then here, these niggas get desperate and be like, fuck it, nigga, let's sacrifice our sons and daughters. We need this to stop. But this is crazy though. The Sepharvites burned their children in the fire as a sacrifice to the Adramelech and Anamelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. The Sepharvaim. But this is crazy though, man. Look at this. They worshiped the Lord, but they also appointed all sorts of their own people to officiate for them as priests in the shrines, as the high places. The same way Paul proclaimed being a self-proclaimed apostle and started ordaining apostles. That's what they're doing now. It's the same way the Samaritans appointed themselves proclaimed priests. Verse 33. They worshiped the Lord, but they also served their own gods in accordance with the customs of the nations from which they had been brought. So the Babylonians then brought them gods up into the land of Canaan. They worship the Lord, but they still acknowledge their gods. That's like the Africans. The Africans be Christians, but they still, deal with the indigenous African culture that they grew up in. To this day, the priests in their former practices, they neither worship the Lord nor adhere to the decrees of regulations, the laws and commandments that the Lord gave the descendants of Jacob, whom he named Israel. Now keep in mind, what we're reading is the works of the European Jews. They had their hand on Bible, on Tanakh, for centuries. So while you reading this thinking it's yours, they like, nah, nigga, this is ours. We got the pedigree to show it. You niggas don't. You're making a claim. But the Lord who brought you up out of Egypt with mighty power and outstretched arms is the one you must worship. To him you shall bow down, and to him offer what? Sacrifice. They just sacrificed their goddamn child. What are they talking about? You must always be careful to keep the decrees and regulations, the laws and commandments he wrote for you. Do not worship other gods. Do not forget the covenant I have made with you, and do not worship other gods. Rather, worship the Lord your God. It is he who will deliver you from the hands of your enemies. They would not listen, however, but perish in their former practice. Even while these people were worshiping the Lord, they were serving their idols. To this day, their children and grandchildren continue to do as their ancestors did. And that's exactly what we're telling you, Israel. We're telling you, create a gang, is that you're worshiping an idol by the name of El, Yahweh. He's an angel. He's not the creator. Although the name is being used on that deity. It's the same thing. See, what Catch was having a hard time to deal with the name, right? Hold up. I'm going to use this analogy right quick to clear up the Yahweh and Jehovah thing. Because they keep confusing that we use it in the same name, so they think that we're talking about the same deity. Watch this. I'm going to make an analysis, make a point here. Let me show y'all something. Watch this, right? Right? I'll use this example. So now, right? So one thing like JJ was having a hard time understand was the name Yahweh. Because they was like, look, they're saying Yahweh, that's the same as our God because of the name. But see, what they don't realize is that the false God took the name and claimed the name. And that's what you fail to realize. So what we're saying is that the name Yahuwah, Jehovah, that we're expressing from our viewpoint is not a deity. And we've been saying this for eons. Malachi Maccabee in his second round showed that Jehovah in the Owaspi is the ever-present, right? It's not a man. It's not an angel. It's not somebody sitting on the throne. Well, we showed in the Bible that the Jehovah in the Bible, the Yahuwah in the Bible, is a deity, a man sitting on the throne. So one is real and one is false, although the same names are being used. For an example, you use Yahuwah thinking it's the Most High, and we saying it's not. So it's equivalent. Let's use Rick Ross for an example. Rick Ross, the rapper. Here you have the name Rick Ross, the rapper. When he came out, if you wasn't hip to the streets, oh, that's Rick Ross, the rapper. Okay, boom, boom, boom. But now, when you do a background check, you find out that Rick Ross copied his name from the original Rick Ross. This is the real Rick Ross, right? So for us, this was like you got two names. You got Rick Ross here, and you got Rick Ross here. But this Rick Ross user up the name of the original Rick Ross and is claiming to be Rick Ross. That's what I'm trying to explain to y'all. This Rick Ross, although I'm just using that as an example, would be equivalent to saying like this is Yahuwah, but not him as a man, because we said the ever-present, using the name alone. So the name Rick Ross, we're saying will be like is the ever-present, but the name Rick Ross you're using is this idol, this image, this man. And we're saying, nah, although it's the same name, it's not the same person. So it's the same thing. You got this Rick Ross, the false, and you got this Rick Ross, the original, right? So that's what we're saying. So if you take away the identity of this Rick Ross and you just have the name with no identity as far as form and figure, let's say Rick Ross, the ever-present. You know what I'm saying? And then you have Rick Ross, the man, sitting on the throne, walking around. getting jealous and angry because he's a man. That's just a quick analysis to show family. You know what I mean? That the Jehovah or Yahuwah we worship is not the Jehovah, the Yahuwah that they worship. They worship an angel. We showed that. Now this is Mount Gerizim. Look, Mount Gerizim. This is where the first altar was built. A Sumerian temple dedicated to Yahweh was built on Mount Gerizim during the 5th century BCE. It existed alongside the Jewish Second Temple in Jerusalem. By that point, the Israelites were divided as the Samaritans and Jews, both claiming descent from the biblical Israelites and preaching adherence to Torah, but diverging on the holy places on earth to adore God. Mount Gerizim for the Samaritans and Jerusalem for the Jews. But the Dead Sea Scrolls says Mount Gerizim. That's interesting. Mount Gerizim is in the Dead Sea Scrolls, not Mount Abal. Excavation at the site were initiated in 1983 and continued until 2006 and yielded tens of thousands of finds. Remnants found there identified that a Samaritan temple existed atop Mount Gerizim by the 5th century before Common Era. So that's the time of the return of the exile. So on the return of the exile is when they're placed in this time period. The book of Nehemiah. Now here's what I was referring to when I was coming back here now to the Samaritan. See that? The Samaritan Pentateuch. This is what I was coming referencing. Get into. Book of Nehemiah, chapter 4. People already living in the land, possibly included some northern Israelites as well as mixed race people near Jerusalem, offered to help the returning Jews build the temple. Zerubbabel and other leaders harshly rebut them, invoking Caesar decreed and declaring, "You have no part with us in building a temple to our God." So that's the Jews telling the Sumerians, "Nigga, you ain't got nothing to do with this. Take your ass back up north, nigga. We got this. Plus, Osiris gave us the decree to do this." That sounds like some old plantation ass nigga. That's like the field nigga and the house nigga arguing. The field nigga saying like, "Hey man, we brothers, nigga. I'll help you build your temple." The house nigga like, "Nah, nigga, slave master gave me the decree to do this. Go build your own temple. You ain't got nothing to do with this." But these two black folks talking. So this is equivalent to the Jews returning to the land of Israel in 1948, but the Palestinians already occupying, and the Jews begin to act hostile toward the Palestinians, claiming the rights of return. The insulted local inhabitants then attempt to frustrate the workers. Right. So now, coming back over here, the Samaritans got their own thing going. See, we so accustomed with the Jews, the Tanakh, but these niggas got their own doctrine. You need to get the Samaritan Pentateuch. Malachi Maccabee said he got one. That's dope. I may have to get one just to see what the hell going on with it. You know what I mean? Sumerian belief. Let me come down to the language, though. That shit was dope. Right here. Manuscripts of the Samaritan Pentateuch are written in different scripts than the one used in the Masoretic Pentateuch, used by Jews. The Sumerian text is written with the Sumerian alphabet, derived from the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet. See that? So the Sumerians is more closer to the original Paleo than the Jews are. Look at the Samaritan script. That shit damn near look like cuneiform. That don't look like a typical Hebrew script. See some of the Hebrew, right? So we're saying that's closer to the original Hebrew. But look what it says. All right, let me come back up. The Samaritan text is written with the Samaritan alphabet derived from the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet, used by the Israelite community prior to the Babylonian captivity. During the exile in Babylon, Jews adopted the Ashura script. Jews adopted the Ashura script based on the Babylonian Aramaic alphabet, which was adopted into the modern Hebrew alphabet, right? So the Aramaic script is very important. And I did one on that, the Aramean script and the Armenians. Where that's at? Let me see if I can find that real quick. See if I can find that. We got so much information. Damn, I don't know what I titled that joint. Oh, let's see. I'll put it here. In that side, but hold on. I have to come and find that. Wait a second. I think I know where that's at. Give me 1 second. Gotta find that joint. That may be in my other account. Tight. Everybody, tight. Doo-doo. When that shit out loud. You got it. You stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. Yeah, I think it's in my other account. I can't log into it right now, though. You're lucky, you know. We got some stuff from the Comedic niggas coming to where we at. We'll come back to it. All right. I was just gonna show that the Aramaic script comes from the Armenians. Because when you look at the Armenians, you see a lot of the Aramaic script associated with it. Let me see if I can Google this shit real quick. Trying to find it. Here we go, like this right here, right? Now look at this, right? Evidence of our Armenian origin. Now this is the Armenians, right? What do you see right here? That's what you call the Paleo-Hebrew. You find that among the Armenians a lot. Damn. I can find some more scripts like it. See that? The transition from Paleo, Old Hebrew to Aramaic. There you go right there. That's the Aramaic. These come from the Armenians. They fathered. I ain't gonna say they fathered it, but that's where it's stemmed from. Right? You can see the Aramaic, and you can see how the Arabic dialect or the Arabic, you can see the resemblance, because all this are sister languages. See that? This is coming from the Armenians. When the Armenians went into captivity is when the Assyrians adopted it. What to say? The Old Hebrew Canaanite script, which was actually the inspiration for the Assyrian one, see that? Was by contrast much less disciplined. The characters did not all fit the same template, and they tended to be angled rather than vertical orientated. So they took up a lot of space. Since the Assyrian alphabet was essentially the same as the Hebrew Canaanite one, in terms of the letters, names, and functions, it made sense to use the Assyrian script for committing the stories and laws of the prophet and laws of the proposed Hebrew Bible to write. See that? In modern terms, you might compare it to switching from Gothic characters to serif fonts, such as Times. Now, that's interesting because if the Armenians is, the ones writing the Aramaic, Armenia is Syria. Syria will be classified as the north. That'll be in the northern tribe region. So when the Sumerians, the Armenians, or the northern tribe went into Babylon in 722 BC, when the Assyrians took them into Babylon into captivity, the Assyrians adopted the Armenian language. They adopted the script, and they called it the Babylonian Assyrian script, or the Assyrian script, and that's what I was showing here. Right here. Bring this over. No, that ain't it. Where we at with it? So, Assyria script. This is the Assyria script. Now look, it says Jews adopted the Assyrian script based on the Babylonians' Aramaic alphabet. Now keep in mind, the Jews adopted the script. Now the script the Jews adopted originally is from the Armenians. So the Jews adopted their own fellow, they adopted the Northern Tribe dialect. Because the Northern Tribe dialect is the Sumerian dialect, which in return is the Assyrian Aramaic script. So the Jews adopted the Assyrians, but they codified it. They made some changes, right? It's called the block script. It says Assyrian writing is the traditional Hebrew language name of the Hebrew alphabet, used to write both Hebrew and Jewish Babylonian Aramaic. It is often referred to as the square script. The names Ashur, Assyria, or square script are used to distinguish it from the Paleo-Hebrew. The Paleo-Hebrew would be more closer to the Aramaic script. The Armenian Aramaic script prior to captivity, which would be this script right here, how it looks right here. That's the Samaritan script. That's what the northern tribe was speaking. That's what the Armenians were speaking. Right? See that? The transition from Paleo Old Hebrew to Aramaic. So Aramaic, the Armenian Aramaic is closer to the original than what you would classify as the modern Hebrew. Or so you have pre-Assyrian Armenian script, which would really be Paleo-Hebrew. And then when they went into captivity, the Babylonians adopted it, creating a square script, which the Jews used. So they came in with one language and they came out with another stylistic language. Aram. See if they're in the pictures of the Aramites. These are the people of Aram. They got the fringes on, like the Israelites. See the fringes on the garment? These are the northern tribe. All mixed up. Look at the locks. See that? Look at this. Arameans. Look at this. See, I ain't making this stuff up. There go your Hebrew right there. But the Armenians is the one in control of their script. They the ones controlling this. Does that look like a Bantu Negro from the Congo? I'm just saying. And not only that, the Armenians, they got the same clothing that the people of Ebla. Look at that clothing. I'm gonna put it Ebla. You familiar with the Ebla tablets? I've been spoke about the Ebla tablets long before any one of these niggas, and I can pull up the receipts to show it. Watch this. We got the Ebla tablets. Note the Ebla tablets found in Syria. So you, oh damn, I'm going too fast. Yeah. Hand pressing buttons and I ain't pressed. But it's the Ebla tablets. Look at that though. It's a cuneiform script. See, this is in Syria. This is the language of Syria too. It's much older, but this is the land of Syria. That's where that was discovered. With the Ebla tablets. That's the city of Ebla right there. But nonetheless, there you Paleo-Hebrew right there. So the Armenians took this script into Babylon, right? And the Jews brought it back out of Babylon with this script, the square script. When Ezra and them went into Babylon, they adopted this script. This is the script that Tanakh was written in. So when an apostle talk about the Masoretic text and the Talmud, what he don't know is that the Tanakh was written in the very same style, which is the square script. The Talmud is the square script. Let's show it. Let's show the Talmud and let's see if the Talmud resemble Paleo or the square script. See, these niggas done opened up a can of death messing with me, bro. Yeah, I mean, shout it. All right. Look at that. This is the Talmud. What does that look like? Is not that the square script? This is the Talmud. This is the Talmud. This is the Assyrian script. You see this? You see the resemblance? It's the same thing. The Talmud, see the resemblance? It's the same script. So this script called the Assyrian script is what the Jews of Babylon, which would have been Ezra, when Ezra was compiling the Tanakh, this is the script he used. He did not use this script. Where is it? Right here. This is the Paleo. This is what Apostle be talking, the Paleo Hebrew. Brother Apostle, let me tell you something. You better off getting you the Sumerian Pentateuch, because the Sumerian Pentateuch, which is written and closer to the Paleo Hebrew. This is the Aramaic script right here. It looks like the Paleo, right? But it's Aramaic. So you better off reading the Paleo, the Samaritan doctrine script over the Ezra Babylonian script. So there you have it. The Babylonian Talmud started with the Assyrian script. This is what Ezra used. And then it says, look, a comparison between both versions shows a preference in the Samaritan version of the Hebrew preposition al, where the Masoretic text uses L. So there, in the Hebrew alphabet, let's see the Hebrew alphabet. Watch this. Hebrew alphabet. This the Hebrew alphabet right here. Right? Look. This the Hebrew alphabet. Do you see an E? Do you see the letter E in the Hebrew alphabet? No. But guess what we see? We see the A. We see Aleph. The Aleph. The Bay. The Gemel. The Dalit. But we see A. We don't see an E. We see an A. So coming back to where it states right here, a comparison between both versions shows a preference, a likeness meaning in the Samaritan version for the Hebrew preposition al, where the Masoretic text say L. So the Masoretic text is a modification, and is when they added the vowels, right? But the vowels is E that they added and not A. So the original Samaritan text and script is letting you know that we got the original. I should say al for God. Al is A-L. That's the earliest inscription of God right there. I showed that right here. That's interesting. I showed that. Al. Where was that? What's that in? All right, let me see. Hold on. That was in my opening round. Let me see. That ain't there. Yeah. Those are one of them debate rounds. I had it at the bottom. All right, there it is. All right, cool. Look. There it is. There you go right there. See that? Look. Now look at this. This is Al, the Aleph, and the Lamed, right? That's the Paleo-Hebrew, and it says, this is what they found. The Sinaitic, I think this is in the Sinai. I got to find a source for this. But I just want to show that even in the Paleo-Hebrew, the inscription found is A-L. That's how this is Kemetic. That's why Hosea 13:4 say, yeah, I am the Lord thy God, Al, from the land of Egypt. See that? The first inscription of God is found in Egypt. Al. There he is. He ain't lying. Let's see if we put in the oldest inscription of Al, what comes up. There you go, the Protestant script. Because it has Al. The Proto-Sinaitic script. That's where basically this comes from right here. The Proto-Sinaitic script. Where I got this from. Right? That's why I asked God yesterday. I was like, yo, how you follow a script that you claim is Hebrew, Paleo-Hebrew, and Paleo-Hebrew comes from the Canaanites? He tried to answer on some bullshit, but I'll let it slide. Because all I have to show is, and half my presentation I didn't even show. Let me show you all this part. I'm just skimming through today. All right, that's enough of the Syrians talk. Let me go back. This is what I wanted to show. If I would have showed this in the press, you see how I already took the wind out them niggas, right? If I would have showed this in the debate right here, them niggas, I collapsed their culture and identity when I showed them European Jews and how ain't no nigga got no pedigree showing any authority of upholding Torah coming throughout the history. I showed that. But then if I would have showed this part right here, I would have took the souls out these niggas. I would have took the priesthood out these niggas. A lot of these niggas talking about the priesthood, priest this, priest that. Now I'm going to take the priesthood from these niggas. I hope I ain't erasing. You know what? I trimmed it down. Hold up. And I did erase some of the stuff. Then I have it in the original doc somewhere. Hold up. I think this is the original right here. Yeah, this is the original. See, I didn't even get to pull this out in the debate. We need to have a start. See, we need longer debates. Because I'm rushing trying to cram all this in a timely period. But if I could just flow and relax, and give me goddamn an hour. Give me 45 minutes to an hour. All we need, we can have one round debates. That's an hour. Well, they ain't gonna last for that long. But now this is what I was supposed to bring out too, but I didn't get a chance to because I just had to take the meat and the guts. But this was gonna cancel the priesthood talk. All that priesthood that we Israelite priests and the Leviticus priesthood, this would have canceled that right here. Canaanite temple of Moloch with the holy place and holy of holies worshipped by the Israelites. Now look, Amos 5:25. Have ye offered unto me sacrifice and offerings in the wilderness for 40 years, O Israel? So here go the map. You know me, I put everything on the timeline. They don't do this. That's why they should be off. Now Israel spent 40 years in the wilderness. This would have took place after the Exodus. The Exodus took place with the expulsions of the Hyksos, known as the Hyksos, under Amos in 1550, 1546 BC, before Common Era. So that means the 40 years in the wilderness would have been from 1546 to 1506. Now, if we look beforehand, if we look in the year 1650, I'm going to show the source down, it shows a Canaanite temple priesthood. Now, this Canaanite temple was found and was dated to be around 1650 before Common Era. Now, this Canaanite priest was established 104 years before the Leviticus priesthood. Now, let's see what was going on with this Canaanite priesthood. But now look at this. Coming back to the verse 26. But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch. Right? You remember when Elder Tiny Gun was trying to talk about we're Moloch priests? I'm going to show you with facts. Y'all over there just making up talk about Moloch and the Owaspi. Y'all freestyling, going up your own understand. Y'all ain't even making sense, to be honest, because y'all ain't got no references and no real sources to what you're talking about to tie in Owaspi with Moloch worship. But I'm going to show you the connection of how the Israelites was worshiping Moloch and they adopted the Canaanite priesthood. The Leviticus priesthood is the Canaanite priesthood. Watch this. Again, Amos 5:25 states, you have offered unto me sacrifice and offerings in the wilderness for 40 years, O Israel, right? So in the wilderness is when the Leviticus priesthood was established. So for 40 years, you was worshiping Moloch, but you labeled it the Leviticus priesthood. But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch. Who was bearing the tabernacle in the wilderness? The Israelites. For 40 years, they bore the tabernacle in the wilderness. But Amos is saying that tabernacle y'all bore in the wilderness for 40 years was dedicated to Moloch. Let's prove it. There go Moloch, offering up them babies. Jeremiah 7:22, although Jeremiah 7:22 states, for I spoke not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offerings and sacrifice. So Jeremiah said, I didn't tell you to do that. So who told you to do that? Moloch. Leviticus 1:1, who was the Lord? They got to be Moloch, because Jeremiah just said, I didn't tell you to do sacrifices in the wilderness. But Amos said, you did do sacrifices in the wilderness to a God named Moloch. You bore his tabernacle. Now look, and the Lord called unto Moses and spoke unto him out of the tabernacle of the congregation. What did it say up here? but ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, right? For 40 years, right? For 40 years, you bore the tabernacle of Moloch in the wilderness. So in Leviticus chapter 1 is talking about the tabernacle in the wilderness. And this is the Lord. So who is this Lord? Is this Yahuwah? Is this Moloch? Look what it states. Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, if any man of you bring an offering unto the Lord, ye shall bring your offering of cattle, even of herbs and sacrifice. What did Jeremiah say? Nor did I, for I spoke unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of Egypt concerning burnt offerings and sacrifice. So, right, we're dealing with burnt offerings. Here's the burnt offerings talk right here. If this offering be a burnt offering of the herd, let him offer a male. So now, without blemish, he shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of what? The tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. So Jeremiah is telling you that I did not command the burnt offerings and sacrifice. Amos is telling you that you did do it for 40 years to Moloch. So what we're reading in Leviticus is literally the sacrifice of burnt offerings of Moloch under the auspice of the word Lord. Your Lord, your Yahuwah's Moloch. There's an example of Moloch being offered up. Your Lord wants the smell of the sweet Savior. That's what he enjoys. Let's show it. Oh, I took that part out to save the debate, right? But it says, and they offered unto the Lord as a sweet Savior, right? So that's the Jews offering up to their God, Moloch, in the tabernacle, in the wilderness, blowing smoke. The Hebrews adopted the Canaanite priesthood from the Canaan. Here's the proof. Now, here's the archaeological site of the Canaanite temple where the priesthood would have been practicing and offering sacrifices and burnt offerings in the temple. This is it. Look what it states. Magdal type temple at Pelah, first built in the Middle Bronze Age, 1650 before Common Era. This is before the Leviticus priesthood. And destroyed in the Iron Age, 1850 before Common Era. Now here again, here's the map. Like I said, we put everything on the map. Look at the date of the Canaanite temple priesthood, 1650 BC. When did the Israelites establish the priesthood in the wilderness? Between the years 1546 to 1506 BC. That was the 40 years they would have spent in the wilderness establishing the Leviticus priesthood under the auspice of Moloch, thinking it's the Lord, right? So the Canaanite priesthood was established 104 years before the Leviticus priesthood. Now this is the priesthood. I mean, this is the temple. Now look at these numbers. I'm going to read all of them, but number 4 is the most significant. Number 4 is the most significant, and I'm going to show you why. Look, entrance 1 states to the Middle Bronze Age. Number 1 states entrance to the Middle Bronze Age. So this is the entrance of the temple right here. So when you come into the temple, you're coming from this way. Number 1, this is where you walk in at, right? This is where you walk in at. Look at number 2. Look what number 2 say. Southern wall of the temple. So this is the southern wall, right? So when you walk in the temple, this is the south. So they're showing you locality and direction. 3rd, central pillar hall of late Bronze Age temple. Note the pillar basins in Sutu. 4, foundation of the late Bronze Age. Look what it states. I said 4 is very important. Look what 4 say. Look what 4 say. Foundations for the late Bronze Age. Threshold to the temple's holy of holies. Huh? Who got the holy of holies? The Israelites, the Leviticus priesthood got the holy of holies, but here the Canaanites got the holy of holies first. Look at the date. 1600 BC, Israel was still sojourning in Africa. The Canaanites is already established in the land of Canaan, practicing the priesthood with a temple with the Holy of Holies. So number 4, that's why I said it's the most important. This is where this is where the Holy of Holies took place. It's where the Holy of Holies was. This is an archaeological site. You know, when Paul and them had their debate with Christina Nick about did the Leviticus priesthood come out of Kemet? No, it didn't. It came out of Canaan. And here's the evidence. You can't show evidence of a priesthood and the Holy of Holies coming out of Kemet like this. That's why everything they displayed was drawings and pictures, because there's no real archaeological evidence of a priesthood coming, of a Holy of Holies coming out of Kemet as far as being copied by the Hebrews. The Leviticus priesthood was copied by the Canaanite priesthood because the Leviticus priesthood was established when they was in the wilderness. They established the priesthood after they left Egypt. So when they was in the wilderness is when they adopted the Canaanite priesthood. Look at that. So number 4, look what number 4 again say, foundation for the late bronze threshold to the temple's Holy of Holies. Look at number 5, western wall of the temple. So number 5 is the western wall right here. So this is a wall right here. So when you in the temple, you come in, this is the south wall, this is the west wall. So you know what I mean? Showing you the direction. Look at number 6, the late bronze age northern wall. I know that's 6. So this is the northern wall right here. So you have south, north. So when you come in, this is the south of the building, this is north of the building, this is west of the building. And you make your entrance in the east of the building. See that? This is your Masonic order right here. You come in the east, you perform your ritual on the west side of the wall in the Holy of Holies, right? And number 8, middle bronze age northern wall, right? So there's another wall. So you had a wall within a wall. So this is the Canaanite temple priesthood, Holy of Holies in real time. Now look, here's the archaeological site of the Canaanite temple with the holy place and Holy of Holies 104 years before the Leviticus priesthood. Now here is a drawing of the Leviticus temple priesthood, and you can clearly see that they copied it from the Canaanites. Because here you see in this example, you see the Holy of Holies right here. And the Holy of Holies is right back here. Now, like you said, you walking towards the east. This would be the east. This would be the south wall. This would be the west wall. And this would be the north wall, right? So that's how the temple would have been displayed. But look, you got the holy place, and then you got the Holy of Holies. Look at the Holy of Holies. Pay attention. See that? This is the west wall. Look at the Holy of Holies. Now let's go back to the picture. See that, right? Let's go back to the picture. Come back up. And you will see that? Number 4, it's a small space for the Holy of Holies, right? Just like in the depiction down here. Small place for the Holy of Holies. So I'm showing you the Leviticus priesthood was copied by the Canaanite priesthood. And what takes place in the priesthood? What takes place in the holy place? The Lord spoke to Moses, and after the death of his 2 sons, Aaron, when they drew near before the Lord and died, and the Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron, your brother, not to come at any time into the holy place, inside the veil, before the mercy seat, that is on the ark, so that he may not die. For I will appear in the cloud over the mercy seat. But in this way, Aaron shall come into the holy place with a bull for the herd, for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering. Now remember, Jeremiah 7:22 states, I did not command your fathers, nor did I command them or whatever, to do these things. So who is calling the shots here? Who are you offering up burnt sacrifices to? When Jeremiah said, for I spoke not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of Egypt concerning burnt offerings and sacrifice. See that? That's that on that priesthood. Give me a 1 in the chat, family, if y'all getting this understanding. You know it's a blood clot vibes and my mic went out. Give me a 1 in the chat, family, if you're vibing with the hydrant. Vibing with the hydrant. the blood clot vibes. Large up yourself, big up yourself, large up yourself, yeah? Let me run the rhythm, you know. You know what? I think we have another rhythm for run, you know. Caribbean vibes, this rise. Let me see what me have for them. Let me see what me I chat about. Run the rhythm. Come on. Vibes. That's right. Large up yourself. Original white boy thing is up here. That's right. Mic dapper down. Mic dapper down. Select the Selah Shalom on the ones and twos. You know how we do. Let's move forward. You know how we do, exposing the wheelchair God floating through space. I'm about to sign off, family. I got some stuff to do. I just want to hop on early and just vibe with y'all for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Get back to production. I'm about to go out of town, do some filming. I got some jobs lined up. I'm glad we got this debate out early so I could focus on that. You know what I mean? Because it's a blood clot vibes. Your boy Selah Shalom was out of here, family. Salute to the righteous gods and goddesses. Pray the gang. We out.
Bittersweet Herbals, where the taste is bitter, but the results are sweet. Bittersweetherbals.com. Bittersweet Herbals, where the taste is bitter, but the results are sweet. Bittersweetherbals.com.